Welcome back to the AgostinhoZinga show with your host, AgostinhoZinga, and this is episode number 720. This is 720 of the AgostinhoZinga show with myself, your host, your illustrious, amazing, well-fed, well-hydrated, well-kept, well-limbered, well-worked out guest and host, and everything in between. AgostinhoZinga. I hope you're doing well wherever you may be. I hope you are doing swimmingly. Today's a bit of a rare one. I don't usually record the podcast side of things of what I do in terms of the AgostinhoZinga show, aka Tazs, live. But today I thought, you know what, I have some time. I got a free day off work, so why not record this particular episode of the AgostinhoZinga show, episode number 720, live and direct for you guys watching and for you guys listening after the fact. So it's been a bit of a crazy couple of days for me over the last couple of the past weekend. I can't really lie. For once, I actually did venture outside. I've been a bit of a homebody ever since COVID, really. I've kind of been at home. Really, is kind of by design because of the work I've been doing the last couple of years has allowed me to work from home on my laptop. It basically gives me no incentive to go outside anymore. So apart from nights out, apart from rare occasions where I might go to like an art gallery or something for a private view, most of my time is spent indoors. Again, outside of going to the gym and going to purchase some food and whatnot and get myself fed. So I'm spending a lot of time indoors, too much time indoors actually. So it's quite nice when I do venture outside. And I say all that to say I did venture outside on the Friday to go get a haircut. This is something that I usually get around the corner, local boss man, local uncles. I go get a skin fade and whatnot. But unfortunately for me and maybe a lot of other guys in the UK, I consume too much US content. Because I consume too much US content, my standard or what I expect from a skin fade, what I expect from a haircut from a barber is something that I compare to what I see from the US content I consume. So I look at people like Odell Beckham Jr. and I see his skin fades and I'm like, oh, damn. I can't get that level of a fade in the UK, so it makes me sad and it makes me depressed. But I put up with the shit that I can get over here. But over time, I started to realize that although the places I go to around my area are amazing, right? The pros of being able to put on some white socks, a shitty pair of shorts, and a vest, and put on your Crocs and go around the corner and literally 5 seconds walk and pop into a barbershop with a local Ghanaian uncle, Nigerian uncle, Jamaican uncle, and get a little quick fade is great. It's also amazing, right? But unfortunately, with inflation, most of the local shops and barbers around my area, most of the local ones, they charge just as much as you would get charged if you went to a fancy one. So before I'd pay maybe £20, before that it was 15, and now I think it's like 30 basically, and with the tip it might be 35 or 40. So with that, I was like, you know what? Why don't I start going back to that place I used to go to? And if I don't remember, I've mentioned before on the pod, but a few years back, way before the flipping pandemic, I used to go to this particular barbershop in the west of London. So it's about an hour's distance from where I am in the centre of London, in a place called Ealing Broadway. And it's a very fancy barbershop. A lot of celebrities, a lot of kind of footballers from this country go and get their haircuts there. A lot of rappers, a lot of artists, all that malarkey. And I used to go there all the time to get my haircut. But traveling there, an hour there and an hour back just to get a skin fade is a little bit excessive. So over time, I got a little bit lazy of going there, and I didn't really see the utility of it. But because the prices have gone up in my local area, I was like, you know what? If I'm going to be spending £30 on a haircut, I may as well go to Ealing Broadway. So the other day I decided jump on the train, head over to Ealing Broadway and get a haircut there. And I have to be honest, I'm happy with the results. I got a little Mohican type of thing. Got little, cat scratches on the back. They cut my beard in a good way. Gave me a little handlebar mustache for the little hipster vibes and shit. So I'm feeling nice and feeling good about it. But it made me realize that actually it's quite important in life to spend money on things that you care about. Because I don't have a lot of things I care about, right? Obviously, I care about fashion, I care about shoes, but there are certain things in terms of your self-care that you shouldn't skimp on, and you shouldn't be lazy about. So if there's something that within your self-care routine, whether it's the place that you go get your hair cut, whether it's a place where you go get your fucking hair washed, whether it's somewhere you get your stuff styled, whether it's a place where you get a particular type of t-shirt that you like, or this place does a particular brand of underwear that you like, make the effort to go there and get that thing. Because when you do any sort of concessions, when you make any kind of detours and try and figure stuff out another way, it never goes the way you like it. And I really realized for me recently, there were times where I'd go to my local boss man my local guy around the corner, my local uncle, and he just gets stuff wrong. I don't know about you guys if it's the same, but in Afro barbers, for some reason, especially when you go to African uncles and shit, they always get little things wrong. So you ask them to cut your hair a certain way, they'll cut it another way. Like, but they'll get a tiny bit wrong. So you might say you want a high fade, they'll give you a low fade. You might say you want the sideburns thin, they'll make them wide. You might say keep the mustache quite thick, they'll make it small and turn it into a Hitler thing. They'll do all these little things wrong all the time. And then when you leave, for me personally anyway, I can't get that shit out of my head. It stays in my head and it really burns in my soul that I paid this man £30 plus tip and he just couldn't do what I wanted him to do. He had to make some little mistakes and little errors and he just grinds my gears. So for just the peace of mind and for me not to be sending this guy any bad vibes and to not be a horrible person, I'd much rather pay the money to get something done properly, right? Properly somewhere where I've got peace of mind, they're going to do the job well, and I'm going to leave there like happy and proud to have the haircut. Because the worst thing that happens to me sometimes, you go to get your skin fade, you head out, you hate the results, and then you immediately put a hat on. And I've done it plenty of times. I've not liked the results, so I've started wearing a hat or on the train. I put my hood up in a strange way and I'm gone and I fucking hate it. And my hair isn't even that hard to fucking work out because all I need to get cut is the fucking sides. I don't need nothing. It's not even that difficult. So if you can't get the sides right and you can't get my facial hair right, then why should I give you any money? So I'm happy I did that. Happy I made that change. And I do recommend for any of you guys who are in London or in the UK and you're looking for a place to go get your hair cut, I do highly recommend check out this spot. I've got it up here on the screen. It's called F4 Fade. So F, the letter, the number 4, and then Fade. Find them on Instagram. They've got 2 locations, one in West Ealing and of course one in Fulham. The one I go to is usually the Ealing Broadway one. They're usually really packed up and booked with fucking bookings, so you have to make sure you call them ahead of time to get a slot in there. But usually the trims are absolutely fantastic, and to be honest, I think the prices are the same as most areas in London. I think it's like £25 for a trim. I got mine. I basically gave the guy I think 30 or 40 or something like that for the tip as well included, and I basically made a day of it. I took my books with me. I was reading the Britney Spears autobiography on the way there. I listened to a podcast and shit. I went and got some Lebanese food after because that area of London has a big Lebanese community, so there's a lot of great little restaurants around there you can pop into and get some good food. So I made a bit of a day of it. So I do recommend, if you are in the business of getting your hair cut a certain way, especially in London, and you're pissed off with all the regular people, look at this guy's fade here. Look at this fade down here. You can see the HDness of that fade. Look at the gradient there. That's a lovely fucking gradient. And you can't get that in a lot of places in London. I know I'm making a big deal out of nothing, but I swear to God, you cannot get a regular decent trim in most parts of London. I can tell you this. I've traveled far and wide. I've gone to places in North London, South London, West London, East London, and they've been terrible. Actually, to tell a lie, the best haircut or the best fade I ever got in my entire life was this one year I went to Mexico City. I went to Mexico City and I went to this random barber shop in Mexico City. The guy took like 2 hours to cut my hair, but I swear to God, it was the best fade I've ever gotten in my entire life. I wish I had a picture of myself then, but it was immaculate, fucking immaculate. So apart from Mexico City, the best fades I've ever gotten is from F for Fade. I really do recommend that you check it out. Again, I have to travel from where I live in fucking London all the way to fucking Ealing Broadway. It's basically an hour plus to get there because the station as well, when you get out the station, the barbershop, I think it's like a 15-20 minute walk from there, so it's not even around the corner. So I'm really going on a fucking pilgrimage for a haircut. But for me personally, and for my peace of mind, I'd much prefer to give somebody my hard-earned money to get a fade of this sort of level, right? And to make sure that it looks good. Like look at this lineup. Look at this guy's lineup here in the front. Look at how good that is. Look how smooth that is, bro. Absolutely incredible. So yeah, big up FFA. They do a really good job there. I would trust every single person that's in there cutting their hair. I usually go for the guy that owns the place called Franklin. But everybody in there basically cuts hair really well, so you won't really be in bad hands when you go there. But of course, make sure that you call up and you give them notice and stuff, and you book an appointment because they're always busy. You can sometimes go in and have like a walk-in, but for the most part, I prefer to kind of make sure that I book it ahead of time just to make sure that I'm able to get in there. And sometimes even Akon was there. See, look, Akon was there. Man, like Akon, you know what I mean? Comeback music. That guy was in there, bro. So big up Akon. Even Akon knows Wagwan with the thing. So yeah, big up everybody in there. And even this young man. Look at this young man. Look how sharp this young man looks. Look at that. absolutely HD haircut, HD of the HDs. But yeah, big up F for Fade. Happy with my haircut, and to be honest, it was another reminder of why I need to go outside more often. It was quite nice to be outdoors, with regular people watching, sitting down on a train, reading my book, having a bit of a good time. Like, oh wow, everybody's outside. This is amazing, right? It was actually quite decent. I'm not gonna lie. For someone that's a bit of a hermit like myself, right, that lives, that's basically permanently living online, it was quite nice to be around some regular people, to hear the hustle and bustle of a barbershop, people debating and arguing about these nonsense topics and shit. It was quite good. I'm not gonna lie. I just enjoyed it, sitting down there like a stranger, like a guest, all nice and quiet and humble. Aggie, is that you? Yes, that's me. Thank you. Getting up and getting my little haircut, sitting my fat ass in the chair. It was actually quite decent. I'm not gonna lie. I really enjoyed it. So big up F for Fade for the experience. Big up F for Fade for the blood clot experience. Then, talking about experience and talking about doing things that you should enjoy, or talking about doing more things that you enjoy and using the time on earth that you have to do the things that you love, regardless of what they are. This past weekend, I also made sure that I put priority into the stuff that I like to do and making stuff that I like to put out there, right? So, there was a night to go out on Fold on Friday. This really amazing electronic artist called Berghain was playing at Fold on the Friday night, right? Fold, one of our best nightclubs here in London. I was meant to go. It was a sold out night. Origins, one of our best promoters here in London, put it on. He was playing live and also doing a bit of a DJ set. So it'd be live instrumentation and then mix into a DJ set. The tickets are about £30. I could have easily gone. But then last minute, I was like, you know what? Scrap that. I'm not going to go. Instead, I'm going to book a session at Pirate Studios and I'm going to record a little DJ live mix. And I haven't done one of those in ages. I've been putting it off for a while. I've been procrastinating. I've been a bit lazy and stuff. But this past weekend, I made sure to do it. And I'm so happy I did. Because what I realized when I went to do my little DJ set over at Pirate Studios was how much I just enjoy playing music loudly. And I guess with the element of the fucking live stream, it's nice because you can basically play in front of a quote unquote live audience, and it kind of makes it a little bit more exciting because it's live and you're going to make mistakes and you're going to, fix things up, like blah, blah, blah. But just the process of playing in front of a quote unquote live audience, having some fun, playing loud music, mixing and stuff and fucking around was something that I forgot how much I enjoyed because I hadn't done it for so long. And of course, the bookings in bars and clubs I used to play at before have kind of drived up post-pandemic, which has been a bit of a violin moment, but that's still understandable. But outside of wanting to pursue it as a professional career going on in the future, that would be amazing. I just think the option of having a place like Pirate Studio exists, where you can basically book a studio and you can use club ready or club standard equipment and play the same way a professional would play in that sort of environment is absolutely, we shouldn't take it for granted. Or I know I took it for granted. And even though the price isn't that, it's not cheap to go there. I think an hour session at Pirate is like £16 or something like that. I forgot how much it is. And after all, bringing my equipment, I've got to set things up and stuff. It's not the most easy thing to set up. But I think apart from that, once you get all that stuff out of the way, I do think the money spent and the time to go there is well worth it. Because when I left there, I was absolutely buzzing. Like I had a couple of drinks, I was having a good time, bouncing up and down, enjoying playing the music. And again, it was just a reminder of just why I kind of got into this stuff, just because I just like to play the music. And again, professionally, it'll be amazing if I could, pursue it going forward. That would be definitely a good thing that I would want to do. But I think just in terms of a hobby, it really is one of the most best things I've kind of done in recent years. I'm pursuing something like this and just doing it as a really fun adult hobby to do, because it's allowed me to be super curious when it comes to music. It's allowed me to have a craft that I can kind of focus in on. I kind of think of it similar to like guys, because there's a lot of dudes that I know that I kind of grew up with, who I played football with, who have kind of transitioned to playing golf. And I never really got the golfing, but then I remember listening or speaking to one of my friends about it, and they were basically saying that, hey, the golfing just opens up a whole new avenue of things they could get into. It opens up themselves to a new social group. Obviously, the fitness aspects of it. There's a skill aspects of it also, because when you start, especially a new sport, and you're really crap, and then you start to get, a bit better over time, it's quite good to see how quickly or how slowly you do kind of learn and you kind of develop to the sport. And over time, you can track stuff and all these kind of cool things that you don't usually get to do when you're an adult. You don't usually get to kind of learn new skills and find new groups of people to hang out with, or even travel the world to play golf. So I think even though I don't play golf, I think the DJing thing as a hobby is sort of like equivalent to that for me as an adult, because I don't play video games anymore. It's not something I'm really probably going to get into anytime soon. So to do an activity or a hobby outside of the stuff that I do online that I can kind of enjoy to this sort of level is something that I don't take for granted. So I'm happy that I did it. So definitely check it out if you can. It's available on YouTube. It's called Test Mix 64, courtesy of myself. I've also uploaded the track list for it as well, so you can see all the tunes that I played, over 40 tunes. Unfortunately, the last song, Bill Withers, Ain't No Sunshine, couldn't be played because YouTube is a bit lame. And I've also uploaded it onto my SoundCloud, so you can check out my SoundCloud too if you want to see the audio version of the mix as well. It's available there. Test Mix number 64. You can see that. And then I think I'm going to be doing this once a month, basically, the live streams. I'm going to be probably switching between my two sort of like DJ aliases. So the handsome black man alias will be more so the house and disco quote unquote party DJ type of vibes, and then I'll have the Agostinho alias for more of the techno darker type of stuff, hence the picture, right? Hence me looking fucking super black there, and all you can see is my eyes and my teeth. That would mostly be the alias for the techno dark stuff, and then obviously handsome black man will be the handle for all the stuff that I'll be doing in terms of disco in the house. So definitely keep an eye out for that. It'll be happening every single month. End of the month you'll hear a live stream from me going forward with that one, and I'm really happy about it, and I'm really happy about it, and I can't believe I didn't do that sooner. And it kind of made me realize, again, just in general, I think I don't do this often. I think most people maybe don't do it as well. It really is important, regardless of what kind of hobby you're into or the things that you enjoy. Like, spend more money doing those things as opposed to doing other things, and you will usually have a far happier life. Or no happier life. You'll usually have moments in your life where you'll feel a little happier. Obviously, sometimes things get in the way, life, relationships, family, all that stuff. But if there's stuff that you can control and there's stuff that you can do that can make you a little bit more happier, then why not do it? Even if it is like, for instance, I spent like £60 for that fucking set, right? I'm literally paying to play at this point, but it brought me a lot of, it made me happy. I was super bouncing around in the fucking room playing. I left the place with a big smile on my face, and I can't wait to go and do it again at the end of the month. So all that stuff is good, and it was £60 well spent. And I think even if it was more, I would do it as well, because it gave me a lot of satisfaction. So yeah, happy with that one. So moving on from that, I also wanted to talk about and mention the party I went to on Sunday. So I said a lot about Hotbox London, and some of the things I said about Hotbox London on this podcast weren't the greatest, right? I was a little bit angry and frustrated that I was quote unquote left on scene. I wasn't necessarily getting the response I needed to get from this invite only, members only type of close knit, clicky party vibe that happens here in London, that is on a sort of like need to know basis, right? And I really wanted to go. Eventually, I did get the response I needed, and then suddenly, of course, I acquiesced. Suddenly, I was a really nice guy, and I wanted to go in now. So I managed to go on Sunday, and it's a weird one because I'm not usually a Sunday raver type of person. That's why I've avoided going to Unfold. It's this rave they do on Sundays at Fold, one of the best clubs here in London, and I kind of avoided it because it's on a Sunday, and I usually work on a Monday, and I'm usually tired, and I can't really do the whole Friday, Saturday, Sunday, flipping thing again. I can't do it. But I was fortunate this past weekend, because I did the pirate stream. I did the whole live stream thing at Pirate on the Friday. I didn't go on a Saturday, and I was able to go on a Sunday. So I was able to get a bit of a rest in between. So that was made it a bit easier. Hotbox itself, again, I'm not going to tell you or describe how to get in there, how to basically get an invite, because I think part of the hassle and the aggro of getting there is actually what makes, when you finally do get in there, somewhat satisfying. So I'm not going to spoil that side of things. So if you do want to go there and you want to find out a way to get there, you're going to work out yourself. But I worked it out. I managed to get my ticket. I was happy to go. And when I got the ticket, I realized, oh shit, it's actually quite a long rave, because they were doing it from Sunday at 12 p.m. all the way to 12 a.m. So it's a proper 12-hour rave. And obviously in London, because we have really draconian, old school, stuck in the fucking mud laws around licensing when it comes to drinks and club opening hours, there is no real way to sort of have that long kind of Berlin-esque kind of, club night where you can go out from Friday until Sunday. So what people are doing now, if you're a promoter, to be a little bit clever, people are doing these sort of like kind of daytime into nighttime raves so you can get more time out of it. And also, I'd imagine, from being a former promoter, I'd imagine that the Sundays are usually days that not a lot of people book places for. So you have a better option of getting more interesting spaces. You can do more with them. And obviously, you know, it's a Sunday, so you can probably squeeze as much as you can of it. So it started at 12, ended at 12. Obviously, I wasn't going to go there at 12. That's ridiculous. So I left my house at around 4. I got there about 6, whatever. And I was able to get there and have a good time. And it was quite good as well, because what I realized was that because I left quite early at that 6 p.m., I wasn't keen to like start pre-drinking super early. I went there, popped into a local fucking chicken shop, got myself some hot wings and a chicken burger, and then I got myself a little Magnum, and I was on the way there bopping, listening to some music on the way to the club, and really well fed, lined my stomach, had a little bit of a drink, and then was able to go in. So I wasn't even kind of steaming as I probably would have been in previous times when I leave the house at fucking 11. So I rocked up there. And as soon as I rocked up to Hotbox, the first thing I realized was that, oh, these guys and girls, right? These guys and girls are really serious about this whole like selection thing, right? They don't play around. So as soon as I rocked up, the person at the door kind of, you know, gave me the once over. It was the first time I think I've had a vibe of somebody actually door selecting. And that's something, or door picking, whatever the kind of term is, which basically involves the bouncers kind of figuring out if you're the right person for the rave, if you match what they're doing. It's sort of something that's sort of like been popularized a lot, obviously, in the Berlin scene, where they don't really care if you have money and you can pay to go in. If they don't like the cut of your jib, they're not going to let you in, sort of vibe. And I guess even with this party, even though it's an invite, even though it's a members only type of need to know thing, so you have to kind of be in the know to get a ticket, it's still a place where if they see you rock up and you have the wrong vibe, they're going to tell you to go home and give you a refund. They're not on that kind of vibe. So it's quite refreshing to see them take that kind of approach to it. So they sort of gave me the once over, made sure I wasn't a fucking psycho, let me in. And then as soon as I walked through the door and I was able to get through the kind of the first ticket, to kind of scan my ticket stuff, and I kind of saw everybody in a sort of main sort of area vibe wise where it was, where everyone was sort of sitting down, I immediately realized why they go to that, you know, why there's such a ball ache to deal with in terms of getting tickets. It made sense because the vibe in there was immaculate. Maybe one of the best atmospheres I've kind of walked into in terms of a London club in a very, very long time. Loads of different people, different races, colors and creeds, sizes, orientations, whatever it may be, expressions. Everyone's just having a blast in their own little kind of bubbles. And I think those are usually a good examples or good kind of scenarios of like good club situations where everyone's kind of having their own little bit of fun, their own little pockets of fun. They're not really trying to chase anything. They're all just there having their own little situations. And I guess the space itself made for it as well. I think it was like a community center type of place. I'm not really sure what it was. It was somewhere in South London. Again, location will not be specific on it because I think it's important if you are going to go in there as blind as I did. So it was somewhere in South London, and the location was like some sort of community center or something along those kind of lines. So it had like a really nice open plan sort of like area where you would probably sit down to do like your dinners and stuff, and it was kind of like a circle. So people were sitting there on the edges and on the inside, and then on the outside there'll be like a little cloakroom area. And then on the right-hand side, there was a bar that was really fairly cheap also, to be honest. A lot of these DIY events, I'm not too sure if you guys have been there before, but a lot of DIY events, sometimes, especially in London, they're a piss take because people will put on an event in the warehouse. They'll buy drinks from a fucking supermarket, and then they'll sell them to you for £10 a tin. So they'll buy fucking supermarket tins of beer, like probably 20 packs for like $20, and then they'll sell you one tin for $10. So it was quite nice to go to a space where it was like a community center type of place, and they had community center type of prices, because I think I got like a double whiskey with no ice for like £6, which again isn't the cheapest, but still for a London club, it was still really, really cheap. So that was pretty decent. And then once I got my drink, I headed inside, and I love the fact that, again, I love that kind of like, it's sort of like a movie scene when you go into some sort of club sometimes. I think it kind of adds to the sort of allure. So if I'm not mistaken, you go through these two black doors, through this black corridor, through another set of black doors, and as soon as you open the black doors into the dance floor, you're just met with this wave of sound, like boom, 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 super, super loud. And you can't even see the DJ booth. That's how crazy packed it was. People were like climbing over on top of each other, on side of the walls, rolling on the floors, jumping up and down, and you couldn't see the DJ booth. And I think for me, having been out often to a lot of these places, I think not seeing the DJ booth at a rave sometimes is a good identifier of a good party, because usually when people are at parties where it's like all about the DJ and they're the celebrity, they're all just standing there looking at the person like they're at a gig, and it can be a bit of a weird atmosphere. But at this place, similar to some of the best raves I've been to, everyone was sort of like facing other directions, like back to the DJ booth, facing the wall, looking at their friends, just having a good time. And by the time I realized where the booth was, I was like, oh shit, everyone's just going for it, going crazy. And then another sign of when I knew I was in the right space was when I was standing at the back, in the little boomer corner, right? Because that's why I'm always am. I'm always in the corner at a little boomer corner, right? Just standing there trying to act like I'm not a fucking undercover fed and I'm not a fucking creep, right? I just stand in the back of the boomer. I just stand in the back of the boomer corner. I took off my jacket and I put it on the side of the railings, and I was touching the walls. And as I went to touch the walls, the whole wall was fucking wet. It was dripping. That's how you know you're in a good party. The wall was fucking perspirating. It was full of sweat, full of people's man juices. I'm sure a lot of guys' man juices as well, but I don't give a fuck. And that to me was the antithesis of where I was at. Okay, I'm at a really good party. The sound is going crazy. Hardly anyone's wearing fucking clothes. The walls are fucking leaking, and it's absolutely going off. And I absolutely loved every single minute of it. And I honestly, can understand now why these guys make such a big deal out of making sure only a certain group of people are allowed to go to their party, because Jesus Christ, mate, when I went in there, I finally understood, oh, now I get why you guys are such a fucking hassle to deal with and why you make it such a pain in the ass to let people like myself get in there. And I can also understand from their point of view why maybe letting in someone like myself, although I think I'm quite plugged in, could be a sign that your party's about to go down, right? Because I'm a little bit of a techno NPC, or I'm a little bit of a techno normie. So maybe when I'm starting to arrive at your rave, that might mean, oh shit, your rave's about to go down, because I'm kind of, part of the normie population that wants to kind of come to your parties. But I'm really happy and fortunate. No, I'm really happy and grateful that I was given the opportunity to go and have a good time and party there. And I really, really can say that that was legitimately one of, if not the best parties I've been to in London in a very, 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 very long time. And I really do recommend anybody who kind of wants to come to London and wants to go party this type of place. I think they do it every single month or something, to go there. And another thing I also thought about, I was listening to, or I think I remember reading an interview before of one of the founders of Hotbox called Becky Strook, who's also a DJ there. And I remember she mentioned something like, oh, she was around when, warehouse parties in Hackney were a big thing. The things I used to go to also, and I used to DJ at them sometimes back in the day. And she was mentioning how, like, she came from that scene of always being groped and being abused and assaulted and just being creeped out on these parties at these warehouse raves in Hackney Wick. And now I understand why they have that approach, because I also remember that era of these great house parties or these great warehouse parties in Hackney Wick, in these sort of like East London warehouses and shit. They were amazing vibes, but they did invite a really weird mix of people, like vagabonds. You know what I mean? Like people that were basically, what would you call them? I wouldn't even call them homeless. People that were like unhoused, like these unhoused type of guys that lived in forests and shit. They'd come into the raves and they fucking, it'd be a weird mix of people. You'd have all these rave kids, you'd have all these area boys, you'd have all these unhoused people, you'd have the dealers. It was just it was too toxic, really. So I understand why she probably came from that environment and decided, hey, when I do my own party, I wanted to have that kind of, sort of like rough around the edges DIY vibe that those warehouse parties had, but also I want it to be a place where people can be safe. You're never going to have a safe space in London or in any sort of nightlife scene. I think the whole safe space idea is really dumb, because it's nightlife. You're going to always have creeps and monsters out at night. And I think like most of our parents were right when we were growing up. Like nothing really good happens at night after 9 p.m. anyway. So you're always going to open yourself up to being in those sort of environments. But what you can do, you can create environments where you sort of mitigate around that. You can't completely eradicate it, but you can create environments where you can make sure that the dickheads aren't being encouraged. And one thing I remember seeing at Hotbox, which they did really well, they had all these kind of there are these guys and girls walking around on the dance floor with pink high-vis jackets on, being like, wellness or something, whatever it may be. And they were basically walking around and making sure everyone was chill, everyone was cool. They weren't being super intrusive, but just they were always kind of around. You could kind of feel them here and there, just kind of making sure everyone was nice, everyone was kind of cool. And I think that kind of added to the atmosphere. And of course, just in general, everyone in there was just really nice. I didn't meet what dickhead in there. Everyone was open to talk and have a good chat and just hang out, and I really did enjoy the vibe. I enjoyed the vibe so much so that I put together a little interview, actually, interviewing some people on the dance floor about their experience and how they liked it. And I'm going to play a few of the clips here of some of my, on the dance floor journalism. So please bear with me as I play this little clip here. It's a little bit cringe because I sound a little bit drunk and high and excited, but you'll understand what the vibe is. So this is me on the dance floor interviewing random people here via my voice notes application on my iPhone. Very, very high technology features here. Let's go. What's the appeal of this? Why do you like it so much?
It's the freedom. There's no judgment, everyone is here to have a good time. And they don't let idiots in.
And how do you think they keep the idiots out? How is it possible? Because you know London is full of idiots.
It's mostly members only and we have a really good doors now in London. It's really that simple. Good door picking and good security.
Okay, now you next up. For your first time here, what do you like about it so far?
I like a physical mix of spaces. You have a really good space here, on the dance floor, several spaces to sit inside and you have the bar area. And I need all of them of spaces for different points of my life. And that means I can relax, and I can stay for longer and enjoy every part of the night.
A good chill out area is important.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, good to know. Thank you very much. That's it.
Another reason why I like this space is that it's wheelchair accessible with an accessible toilet. Which means you can get everybody in. It's really important to be inclusive like this, otherwise you're just kind of posing.
Yeah, so it's actually accessible to everybody.
Yes.
Yeah, like for real, like not just like lip service. Great point. Fucking fantastic point.
How does it feel to you? You must go to loads of different nights out as an outsider.
Honestly, I have to say, like, it's worth the hassle of getting the like secret word and all that malarkey. It's worth the hassle. So, what makes this so special, this place? Party-wise. For you personally.
What makes it special?
Hold on, sorry, a better question. You know how London is, there's loads of parties on.
Yeah.
Why do you bother coming out for this? Why do you make the effort to come out on a Sunday for this?
Hotbox is a whole other class on its own. Like, it's completely different. This is a space where you can, well, it's Halloween weekend. And as you can hear, we're letting loose our demons. We are dancing out our traumas, our inner shadows. This is a place where you can come and be yourself, even when it's ugly.
And then last question, what separates this from like a good night at Fold? Why is this like a level above? Or is it the same for you?
It's about authenticity. This place here is not trying to do anything or be anyone. It's just here to give you a chance to be yourself.
Of course,
There's no like heavy marketing. There's no you fight. You come. You get drawn to this place.
Yeah.
You get told, by the normal capitalistic techniques.
Of course, yeah. Okay, done. And yeah, big up everybody who I spoke to in there who were able to lend me their ear, and I could basically annoy them on the dance floor with a couple of those questions. One of them was obviously a couple that I spoke to, these two gay guys who are really nice, and then at the end there's a young lady there that was able to speak to. And as you could see from the lack of pictures and shit, they do go out of their way to make sure that they cover your phone camera with a sticker before you go in there. So it's similar to the whole Berlin vibe. But they do really stress that you're not allowed to do any videos, not allowed to take any pictures on the dance floor. So the fact that I was able to get away with a couple of voice memo interviews was a big deal. So I didn't want to kind of, overstep the mark and do anything too crazy. So I thought I'd just kind of get an overall kind of vibe of what was getting in there was from some of the opinions that you kind of heard from the people there on the dance floor live and direct. So big up everybody in there that was able to kind of, lend me their ear and whatnot. But I do think the next time that I go, because they make such a big deal out of not using your phone and, embracing the kind of, immersing yourself in the environment, I think I may do something similar. to what they do at fucking Berghain and just leave my phone in my pocket and not use it. There were people obviously using their phone because you can use them, but you're not allowed to take any pictures of yourself. Like, you can obviously record little Instagram stories and stuff. They do fucking share videos and clips of people on Instagram, on their Instagram stories from the dance floor. So obviously you can share stories and stuff, but you're just not allowed to take any pictures of people in there and stuff or whatever, and not kind of, expose them or whatever it may be, in that kind of vibe. So that was kind of a nice thing to see. But I think as a challenge, as I've done previously when I've been to other places, as a challenge to myself, I think I may just do the whole like not touching my phone thing, because sometimes I feel like in those places, touching your phone sometimes can be a little bit of a way for you to like avoid feeling awkward or not feeling too comfortable in a space. You sort of like go to your safe space and touching your phone and checking your social media, going on your fucking apps, checking who's messaging you, uploading something on Instagram, all that sort of stuff can be a crux to not really let you to kind of immerse yourself in a situation and environment. And really, it can sometimes take away from the benefits of why that thing is in place, because the whole point of those sticker things is to make people kind of be a little bit more present. And I think London especially needs it more than anything, right? You need to be able to be present in these spaces to really enjoy them and to make everybody else around you feel more comfortable. But it's odd, like I said, because it's in some parts, in some ways, some places encourage it, because like I said, if you go on the Hotbox Instagram on the day of the event, they will reshare and repost pictures and clips of people posting videos and whatnot from the dance floor, obviously with the camera blacked out. So it's kind of like a weird situation, because you're covering people's cameras, but then you're also kind of encouraging the behavior by sharing some of the pictures and images on your Instagram. So it's a kind of a strange thing, but overall, that aside, I think they do a really good job of making sure the people that go to the events are a good bunch, and they are the ones that help to kind of make the vibe what it is. And I think I've mentioned it prior on previous times. I think that the most important thing in parties, or the most important thing in most places actually, is the community that goes there. It really isn't the sound system. It really isn't the DJs that you book. It really isn't the club space itself. It really is the people that go there. And if the people are that going to your party, unfortunately, if you attract a group of wankers, there's no other way you can really fix that apart from ending the party and starting again, really. So the fact that they do such a good job at making sure they have a real lack of wankers on a dance floor is a really big deal, especially when you consider the areas of interest their fans and their ravers come from, fashion, art, creative sort of side of things. There is a high percentage of people from that scene who can be deemed to be a little bit up their own arse and a bit wankery. But I didn't meet one wanker when I was out there. Everybody was fucking sound, had a great time. I left there about 11:30 at night. I went to catch the last train home, because obviously it was in like South London. So if I left there after 12, it would mean I have to get the night service, and that kind of makes it a bit tricky for me to get back to where I live. So I left obviously before 12, and I got home at a decent hour, and I kind of understood the Sunday raving. It's a bit mad, don't get me wrong, it's a bit crazy to be going out from like 12 to 12. Obviously I didn't get there for 12, I got there about 6-7 p.m. But I understand it, because you can technically get that 12-hour sort of hit that you need. Instead of going to Berlin, you can basically do that sort of thing in London. And also, raving on a Sunday kind of reminds me of what used to happen back in the day, when a lot of my friends would put on raves and parties between Mondays and Thursdays, because that was a good time, because you kind of avoided the weekend warrior crowds. And you could also sometimes find cooler, more interesting spaces to hire for cheaper, because it was like a weekday, and usually those days weren't in demand. And usually you'd have a way funner time, because it'd be a really small, concentrated group of people who are there for the right reason. So I think the whole Sunday thing is a big plus for the whole London scene. Obviously it's annoying because it's only come about because we don't really have the ability to rave normally, quote unquote, like other major cities like Berlin do throughout the Friday all the way to Sunday or whatever it may be. Not a lot of places have 24-hour licenses, blah blah blah. But in a way to kind of get around it, doing the whole Sunday thing from 12 to 12 is great. You can go to bed and still kind of wake up early enough in the morning to get to work in the Monday. It's pretty decent, so I'm really a big fan of it. And I recommend anybody that's into the type of music that I like, and you're in London and you want to go somewhere a little bit more interesting, a little bit more cool, and you're maybe a bit fed up of going to Fold every week like I am. Even though Fold's one of our best clubs in London, I just went somewhere a little bit different to kind of freshen things up a bit, because I feel like going to the same place all the time anyway can be a bit naff. I really recommend you check out Hotbox. It really was legitimately one of the best parties I've been to in London, and I honestly can't wait to go back again. And the fact that they do it only once a month as well kind of makes it a little bit something to look forward to. And obviously, like I said before, for me, the next challenge when I do go there is to go there and really immerse myself and be on the dance floor, because the whole entire time I was standing on the fucking boomer corner just watching and kind of observing from afar. But the next challenge for when I do go is to be on the dance floor, tops off, and absolutely going for it like everybody else that was there. So I'm really, 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 really am thankful that I was able to go, and I can't wait to go again soon, very, very soon. So moving on from that one, I want to speak about some technology stuff. So Apple had an event recently. Allegedly, it was all filmed on an iPhone, which is a bit strange. They love promoting that whole like, oh, we filmed this announcement for Apple on the iPhone. But if you saw the rig they were using, it was hilarious. It was filmed on an iPhone, but they had this amazing lighting, this amazing little kind of device to hold the phone and make it steady and shit. So even though it was filmed with an iPhone, all the sort of like the gear around it was kind of stuff that you would use if you're using like a red camera. So it was a little bit deceptive. But that aside, they did introduce a new MacBook, and they introduced it in this space black, this anodized black version, and it looks absolutely amazing. So this is courtesy of The Verge. It says Apple's new high-end MacBook Pro comes in a black with up to 128 gigabytes in RAM. And it's obviously an M3. It's got the new M3 Pro chip inside, or no, the new M3 chip. You've got the Pro and you've got the Max as well version there. Let's read the little blurb. It says alongside a refreshed iMac and a newly entry-level 14-inch MacBook Pro featuring the M3 chip, Apple is introducing upgrade models of the 14-inch and a 16-inch MacBook Pro with the M3 and M3 Max processor today. Design-wise, they retain the exact same look and port layouts, but have come in a new space black colorway. So obviously the big deal is this space black colorway. For the longest time, a lot of people have been kind of getting their MacBooks wrapped or, you know, fully sprayed or customized from the different companies out there that can basically take your laptop and spray it up and get it looking of whatever color that you need to get looked in. Nowadays, there's a lot of people doing really cool vinyl wraps. But what this reminded me of was this legendary Hypebeast Essentials article from like 2012 featuring Virgil Abloh, where he sported an all black MacBook. And I remember, I think Ye or Kanye had one also back in the day. So you see here a nice little spread there from back in the day, featuring Virgil Abloh, RIP to him. And it also features, you know, his MacBook Pro he had here that was customized in this matte black colorway. So I'm sure you'll have a lot of people within the creative world who would constantly try to get their own MacBook, you know, wrapped individually itself or customized by particular companies who are probably going to be jumping at this MacBook the same way that I'm going to be jumping at it, because I need to upgrade mine anyway. So this is definitely something to aim for, to go and purchase. So I'm definitely on the way to go and get this. And I also like the fact that they've updated their models. So if I'm not mistaken, they've taken away that horrible MacBook Pro that had the touch bar at the top. I fucking hate that touch bar. I'd never liked it. I thought it was a bit naff, that little LED touch bar thing they had on the top there. I never really liked it. And now they're taking that away. So MacBook Pros listed on the Apple Store are only in this new kind of like design that's flat and a bit square and boxy in that 14-inch and 16-inch color, and 14-inch and 16-inch sizes. And I also like the fact that they've got these nice little bumper rubber bumps at the bottom as well. So it kind of gives it this really almost what do you call it? Really nice kind of boxy industrial minimal type of vibe. So I'm a big fan of it. And again, that space black anodized black version looks really, really beautiful. It says here in the blurb, the machine raises the bar in several ways, ranging from a sheer performance to configurability. For example, the M3 MacBook Pro can be ordered up to 128 gigabyte in RAM, a new high for Apple's laptops. Pre-orders start today, and the M3 models will be available from November the 7th. The M3 Mac units will take a bit longer to ship and are due to arrive sometime later in 2012. No, sometime in November, sorry. Apple says this new space black finish should be less of a fingerprint magnet than a dark blue Midnight Air. The company attributes this to the breakthrough chemistry that forms the anodization seal to greatly reduce fingerprints. That's what they're saying, but I'm sure once people get their hands on these, there's going to be a lot of YouTubers probably doing a lot of tests to make sure that these claims are being, you know, are going to be somewhat sustained, because I'm sure that, you know, no amount of chemical mixing is going to avoid people's sweaty, stinky fingerprints tapping up on the place. But as long as you can wipe it down easily enough, I think that should be fairly fine. That said, I can imagine that the seal will be much to prevent the scratches and scruffs. And this, friends, is exactly why I go for the silver every time, even so I would appreciate it. It just looks like more ominous and powerful. But yeah, it does look really cool. I'm really eager to get one, like I said, because I'm still using my MacBook Pro from like 2015 and shit. So I need an upgrade more than ever. So I'm probably going to end up getting this sooner rather than later, and I'll probably end up getting it probably maxed out to the end. I think when I checked it, the absolute top spec of everything, because I'll probably end up getting the 14-inch space black version, is about $3,000, which is a lot of money for a fucking laptop, right? £3,000 for a fucking laptop is a lot of fucking money, but I'll probably end up having to get it one way or another sooner rather than later. But yeah, this new anodized space black MacBook Pro looks absolutely beautiful. Love everything about it, and I can't wait to get that thing in my hands. I can't wait to get it in my hands. Yeah, exactly, Jinx. Buy consumer, obey conform. Yeah, that's me, man. When it comes to Apple, I'm a big old fanboy. When it comes to them releasing new things and putting stuff in new colorways or making them smaller or allegedly making them faster, I'm a fucking sucker. I will bend over, spread my arse cheeks, and give them every bit of money that I have to buy those things. I'm an unashamed Apple fanboy. I really can't help it. I really cannot help it. So moving on from that one, I want to mention this. Unfortunately, I didn't take any screen grabs before the Instagram account went down. I'm not too sure why it went down. I'm assuming a lot of the backlash is the reason, but if you're not aware of what's happening, this collective or this club night that used to happen here in London called Gutterring, they're going through a little bit of an issue where I think one of the founders, which might be this guy here, white trash tray, I think his name is Luke, this guy here wearing the all white, has been alleged or been accused of some creepy stuff involving girls or boys. Who really know what's going on? But it's a standard thing that happens in nightlife collectives, unfortunately. But one of the unfortunate things about it is that these kids I think they kind of blew up during the whole pandemic COVID sort of era, and essentially they were providing a space for kids in London, especially to kind of rave to what I would probably term gabba music, a lot of hard dance, a lot of hard trance, a lot of industrial stuff, a lot of I don't know, cyber pop PC music type of vibes, and stuff that you don't really see being played in a lot of clubs nowadays. And it blew up very quickly. They garnered a big community of kids that were coming out to go and see them play. So it's quite unfortunate that recently they went into this scandal. And again, I went to speak about the scandal because they put up a major post on their Instagram page, basically addressing a lot of the fucking addressing a lot of the issues of what was happening and basically trying to defend themselves, and they were getting some pushback in the comments. I wanted to kind of speak on it, and obviously it looks like they've taken their page down. Last time I checked, I don't think their page is available. If you go on Instagram.com/guttering, you won't see their page available. Unfortunately, it's been taken down, so possibly they're taking some time off to address it. And the reason why I think this is really unfortunate is one of two things, basically. The first thing is that what it basically proves is what I've said it previously before, is that the idea of a safe space doesn't exist. There's no such thing as safe spaces. If you go out at night after 9 p.m., you're only inviting nonsense into your life, because at night there's just so many creeps, weirdos and fuckheads around. It's almost impossible to avoid them. What you can do is mitigate against it and provide people with a space where they can be somewhat safe. But a flat out safe space where you're not going to be around any creeps, any weirdos, it's almost impossible in nightlife. So I really do hate it when these collectors pop up and they almost sort of like, I wouldn't say even virtue signal. It's almost like they're trying to act like they're better than everybody else out there, and that all the creeps and weirdos only exist in the scenes that they don't like. So when these guys pop up, it's mostly like kind of like, oh, we're looking down on the tech house scene, we're looking down on the EDM guys, and they're sort of like looking down on these people who are having their nose up in the air, acting like they're better than them, when really and truly, these issues that we have in nightlife, they exist across the board. If anything, we all need to be united to sort of address these issues, to kind of make sure that sexual assault, sexual harassment, homophobia, all these type of things are basically being rid from the dance floor across the board, than saying that one seems better than the other, because they all have the same issues. And what I've noticed as well, the more hyper-specified, the more hyper-specific, the more niche, the more really core, the more underground the scene is, usually the more issues they have behind the scenes, because they can get away with it. Because obviously there's not a lot of eyes and ears kind of paying attention to it. And also because they're really small, a lot of the people in there can have overinflated senses of egos, and they can kind of get away with more and kind of silence a lot of people when they say some stuff. So I've heard that allegedly this sort of stuff was been happening for a while. It's something that kind of popped up 6 months ago, but then it kind of reared its ugly head again recently. So it's not even like a new thing. But then the other thing that really made me sad about it is that when this party was happening, the reason why I liked it was because I remember thinking to myself, where have all the goths, where have all the punks, where have all the old kids, where have all the weirdos and freaks and shit in London, especially the younger ones, where have they gone? And I guess they've always been around, but just never had a space that they could go to and have a good time at. So when Gutterings came around, it felt like they were providing a space for all these like really young kids who look a particular way to go to a place where they could kind of feel somewhat safe, and they could be around people like each other, like-minded people, find new friends, listen to the music that they actually liked, and kind of party in a different way than what they're kind of used to in conventional clubs. So the really sad thing about what Gutterings are going through is that all these kids that found a safe haven with Gutterings are now basically quote unquote homeless when it comes to clubs because of one guy's creepo behavior, one guy's inability to keep his hands to himself has now resulted in all these kids not having a space to go to that they can call their own. That's the only thing that's a bit annoying and sad about this situation. So the people that lose out the most are the punters, are the innocent kids just want to have a good time, wanting to express themselves, wanting to be around like-minded people, wanting to find their community and hang out and all that good stuff. So that's what I would hope at the end, if they do figure out a solution to fix it, that they're able to kind of come back around to provide these kids with a solution and a place that they could go to call their own. Because now that they're kind of homeless, where do they go? Right? They're not exactly going to be welcomed at Fabric. They're not going to be able to go to E1. They're not going to be able to go to places, sometimes even maybe Nights Out and Fold. So they have to kind of, basically try and find other solutions to kind of make it work. So it's really unfortunate it happened. I wish it wouldn't. But again, it's another reminder that unfortunately nightlife just attracts a certain type of person. It just allows certain types of energies to kind of live and exist. And it's not something that we should be pointing fingers at. We should be trying to address these issues as one sort of like unified nightlife collective sort of thing. It's probably never going to happen because everyone's sort of in their own little cliques and stuff, but I wish that was the case. So hopefully they sort it out. Hopefully whoever has been the victim or has kind of suffered on the hands of these people are able to kind of find some sort of healing or whatnot, or some sort of resolution, and then we can get to a space where maybe these guys don't come back in the same iterations. Maybe another group of kids start another thing up to kind of replace it. But it will be nice to see another collective step up and sort of house some of these kids that kind of popped up out of the blue and were basically loving the vibe at Gutterring and really found a safe space that they could kind of call their own. Hopefully that happens going forward, because it's kind of sad that those are the kids who are basically suffering the most because of, one person's indiscretion or because of a collective's inability to kind of deal with these situations correctly. So hopefully there's a solution that comes around of it. Hopefully a solution comes around of it. That's the only thing we can hope for. Moving on from that, we have to talk about what happened over the weekend. So over this past weekend in Berlin was the Pan 15th anniversary at Berghain / Panorama Bar, and I'm so upset that I wasn't there. Again, things came up last minute. I couldn't able to go. Now I'm going to be able to go to Berlin at the end of flipping November, so I'm really happy about that. But the Pan 15th anniversary lineup was absolutely incredible. Everyone was talking about it. It was really the kind of thing that was on everyone's sort of like lips for the last couple of weeks when it was announced that Skrillex was another special guest for it. And I was really interested to hear what people would say about Skrillex playing in Berghain, because really you don't really hear of a DJ like Skrillex, especially from the EDM side of things, playing in a place like Berghain, because it's kind of known to be a little, I wouldn't say snobby, but it has a particular type of sound it kind of goes for, but it doesn't usually kind of cater to that kind of mainstream type of an artist. But Skrillex nowadays, I think, has kind of earned, has kind of got his stripes in the industry, obviously being a crazy great producer, but has also kind of been able to kind of give respect to his ability to kind of be able to play with underground and also overground. He can kind of do both things at the same time really, really well to a really high level. So I think a lot of people were curious to see was Skrillex going to be able to bring his level or his type of sound to Berghain and do a good job, or would he kind of acquiesce and kind of change his sound, do it somewhere else? People weren't really sure what was going on there. But the lineup itself was absolutely crazy. The final lineup itself that was on there, as you can see, people like Amnesia Scanner that was playing there. You got Crystal Measurements, Skrillex, Arca playing there also. You got Juliana Huxtable, in Nanjuja playing there. Object, Yves Timor, who I'm a big fan of. Again, I'm curious to see what he played in terms of music, because he was playing in the Panorama Bar, the house room. But the place was packed. From what I've heard, I've seen videos and clips of people basically queuing up, and it looked like the queue was stretching from the front of Berghain all the way until there's like a little retail park type of area thing next to the station that's quite near to Berghain. So basically the queue was going from the front all the way until that kind of like retail park, car park area where there's sort of like hardware stores and shit, which is a really long way. If you've been to Berghain, you know how far that is. So the queue was absolutely crazy. I heard people were waiting upwards of like 7 hours in the queue, and of course, because it was so crazy, people were fucking cutting the line. People were cutting in the queue, which is really sad and unpleasant, but I think that's kind of the situation that happens a lot with these kind of busy sort of events. But I do have a couple of clips here that kind of show you the length of the queue that was outside. They can kind of tell you and give you an idea of how long people were waiting to kind of go inside here. I've got these kind of clips here, courtesy of Instagram. So as you can see here from this picture, the club is somewhere around here. So this is really long. This is really far away. Basically, the club is somewhere around here. So it's like this is like easily 100+ people deep. But I'll play the clip for you so you can see how long the queue was. The queue was absolutely meaty. It's wrapping around all the way until the end of the road where the metro sign is, and then wrapping back around again. So can you imagine what it must have been like for tourists going to Berghain for the first time, jumping out of a taxi and then having to walk, jumping out in front of the club and having to walk all the way to the back next to where the fucking metro sign is to go and stand in the back of the queue. That's how long it was. It was snaking all the way around like this. Absolutely crazy amount of people that were there. And again, unfortunately, there was a lot of line cutting as well happening, which I guess happens a lot with people when it's a busy night out. And again, you can see a little bit of it here too. I need to mute the sound here because this person played a fucking Cannibal Corpse tune here, so I'll probably end up getting taken down with copyright if I leave it playing too loud. But this is obviously another image too of the queue and how busy it was. Look at that. Little sound of it there, as you can see there. Look how long that is, all the way at the end. And one of the only annoying things about the Berghain queue and why it gets so long like this is the fact that usually it's kind of a single file type of queue, but when it gets really this busy, you'll see a lot of people just run to the front. So you'll be standing there and someone just standing right next to you and just cut the queue. And for me personally, I never accept that shit. I'll call people out. I'll tap them on the shoulder and tell them to get to the back. Like, I'll get into fucking heated arguments. I'm not about to let anybody cut in the queue. And I think a lot of people, for some reason, are so afraid of the Berghain thing and not getting let in. They're so scared of not getting let in that they don't want to have a confrontation. But me personally, I'd much rather have the confrontation and have somebody tell someone to get to the fucking back. And then when I get to the front of the queue and they ask me, hey, why are you arguing in the queue? I can explain and say, hey, I was queuing here for 6 hours. The person tried to cut in. And then if they decide to let me in, cool. If they don't, whatever it may be. But I'm not about to stand there for 6 hours and let some fucking scrub just jump in front of me because I'm worried I might not get in. It's not that serious of a club. Obviously, it's serious enough to stand there for 6 hours, but I'm also not letting anybody take advantage of me and let me cut in front. I've never ever done that. But people sometimes, I understand when they get a bit worried. But the queue itself was absolutely crazy. As you can see, there's no such thing as a single file here. Everybody's standing next to each other, really on top of each other. There's no idea who's first, who's second, and you really have to kind of have a lot of patience to be able to put up with all of this, especially in the cold, especially in the rain, and be there and enjoy all this sort of good stuff. It really is fucking crazy. So big up the guys and girls that were able to do so. Personally, not for me. So I wanted to quickly also see some reviews of what was happening. So I did take a couple screen grabs from the fucking lovely Berghain community subreddit where people kind of made their reviews about the Skrillex playing there, because I'm really curious to see how Skrillex played at Berghain Panorama Bar, right? So this is courtesy of the Berghain community subreddit, and it says as follows. It says, Skrillex, how was it? This person says, I thought it was entirely shit. Scathing review. I was ready for him to rise to the occasion for this artist arc to materialize with groundbreaking, interesting, well-constructed set. Instead, we got a cheap frat boy hodgepodge of tunes which made me cringe. He played some flow down stuff which sounded great on a sound system, but it comes moments after hearing a crap My Milkshake Brings All the Boys to the Yard remix, followed by Why They Hide Their Bodies Under My Garage. All he did was take his Coachella set with Fortet and Fred again, added some dated Blawan, and stayed off the table and microphone, thank Christ. Another person called Bear Claw, who I think might be a DJ. I think Bear Claw might be a DJ. They replied and said as follows: were you even there? First of all, it was actually Crystal Mess who played My Milkshake remix, not Skrillex, and she played heaps of drum and bass as well, which I thought was very, very cool. The set was more leaned into techno, club heavy mixing of songs. He played songs for Xena, Badass, Inhale, XL, Fine Days Anthem, a remix of Rumble, but nearly nothing of the more light-mooded and commercial songs he has. No dubstep, early days Skrillex, no Jack U, etc. I loved it. The vibe was off the charts and the whole floor had a great time. My sister works at Berghain and was a bit skeptical, but she told me she was impressed that Pan overall was a very good night out to have witnessed. Now, this is a perfect antithesis of what's happening at Berghain. People just in general are just so close-minded. They really are. In what I've noticed, especially in Berlin or in Berghain in general, the vibe over there, they really only want a particular type of sound. That's why I kind of understand why LSDXOXO was going off on people. Don't get me wrong, he went a bit too far. He was trying to basically, accusing Berghain customers of being fucking racist and homophobic, which is absolutely insane. But I understand what he means about the club not being fun. Right, about them only wanting a certain type of music, because I know, having been there, how people negatively react on the dance floor if you play too many vocals. Honestly, Berghain main floor, if you play too many vocals, people get annoyed. If it's too commercial, they get annoyed. If it's too light, they get annoyed. Like, all they want is like 4x4, walls to the wall, balls to the wall, 130 BPM plus, dark techno, no groove, no nothing, just boom, 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 boom over your head. And what I liked about the Pan night is that the bookings, especially with Skrillex, just made it more interesting. They made it more interesting. And it really is a shame that they don't do more of those things more often. And again, it's more of a Pan thing to get Skrillex involved, but I would love to see them do more of these type of bookings where you get a really commercial person who you probably wouldn't expect to play at Berghain to play there, and then you kind of set them the challenge of trying to appease that Berghain crowd by kind of doing their own thing, but also matching the vibe there. I think it will kind of keep it fresh, because there's only so many variations of that dark techno sound that you can have in one space before it gets a bit boring. So that's kind of a good representation of what was going on there. And then we've got another review here that says, I was pleasantly surprised. I really enjoyed his set. He mixed various genres together while always coming back with good techno and dubstep, and kept the pace interesting throughout. He had many loud ovations from the crowd, and personally thanked him for a great set when he crossed paths in Pano. I would definitely like to catch his set again. Another person says, I saw 50 minutes. It was truly okay. Negative shout out to the guy who yelled, Skrillex is killing it in the line after exiting the club. That is some top shit housery. Big up that guy. And the last person here says, I had a really good time. I came in 10 minutes late, but then stayed for the whole time. The crowd was versatile. There was also there was a lot of bros in the club, but I saw that coming before and was mentally prepared for it. I hate how, for some reason, this techno scene has such an issue with what you deem it to be technically like straight guys. There's such a weird tension between it. I'm not sure why that is. I'm not sure why there's such a weird tension between like the LGBTQ queer gay side of guys and just the Chad bro types who want to go to these parties. I thought it's just free space for everybody. Why can't we all just live kind of free and easy amongst each other? Why there has to be so much attention? Like, you don't want to fuck them, they don't want to fuck you. What's the problem? Just to coexist. It's not that big of an issue. Like, I was so nervous because of the bro energy. It's like, bro, come on, man. Anyway, who cares? However, my friend got hit in the head by an idiot trying to headbang, and that kind of sucked. The set was versatile and the vibe was a bit harder and less bright than his RSO set in June. He played a lot of techno, but also a lot of bass music, stuff from his new albums, some rap mixed in. The transitions were often quite quick and included surprising genre switches, making it very entertaining to listen to the set for the whole time. In general, it was exactly what I would have expected, a great mix of techno, bass, some fun tunes that some people might call cringe, which I definitely is a personal opinion. I liked it. It was well balanced, and there was no moment where I thought it was going to become cringe. So again, various replies. Some people are saying it's shit. Some people are saying it's amazing. I personally think, from what I can gather with reading people online, it was a bit refreshing to have. But again, people are very close-minded, especially over there in Berlin. Maybe even more so here in London. I always thought the London scene was a bit close-minded, but I think the Berlin guys definitely do trump us. But I also understand what they mean, because I've never seen this amount of videos uploaded from Berghain on the inside. Again, they usually cover your camera anyway, so you're not going to see anything from these videos, but people were recording clips of like tunes and stuff, or the whole set. I think one particular person recorded the entire set of Skrillex playing there via audio, but I think it got taken down on YouTube. So that type of energy only happens when you book certain people. So that's the issue that Berghain have. Like, if you book certain DJs, they do invite a certain crowd of people who might spoil the sanctity of the club and what the whole vibe is about, right? I understand what they mean by it, but some of the clips are quite interesting because you get an idea on the kind of vibe that was going on there. And I guess as I searched here via YouTube, you can see a couple of clips here people uploaded of Skrillex playing. And one in particular here, people were going absolutely crazy for, I think was this one, which says it's a new ID featuring a song by a person called Hamdi. It's called a Counting Remix. This was courtesy of Berghain too. This user called Outsider who uploaded this clip as well. And these clips are racking up many, many views on YouTube. So clearly, yeah, the energy in there was pretty good. Let's play this clip here.
Oh shit! Hamdi, no? Hamdi counting. Yeah. If you want some more. Hamdi. Oh. I'm perfect.
I'm not gonna lie, man. Hearing that sort of stuff on the Berghain sound system must have been so good. Come on, man. Like, I know it's not something that you might listen to in your everyday life. If you're not into EDM, I get it. If you're a bit snobby, I get it. But still, listening to that kind of music on that Berghain sound system must have been quite refreshing to hear that sort of stuff. Like, that sounds fucking hard. This is recorded through a fucking phone and uploaded onto YouTube. The quality is fucking terrible. But I can imagine what it probably must have sounded like if you were there. But one of the interesting things I loved about it was this review. I got this other review that I clipped from fucking the Berghain subreddit. This guy's review is absolutely incredible, right? Because it features this really interesting bit about Arca, because Arca also played there, and Arca's a fucking legend. Look at this review. This part of the review made me fucking laugh. This is courtesy of the Berghain subreddit. And it says the following regarding Arca, right? It says, as soon as I got into the dance floor by the bar entrance, I can see her playing some experimental tribal stuff, something in the sound of Cop 32 or Space Drum Meditation, to name something. Then some hyperpop pads with chipmunk voices, and all of a sudden she cuts the music to ask for a Moscow Mule and a water because she's thirsty and needs it. And if you know anything about Berghain, you'll know that these guys absolutely hate it when DJs get on the microphone, which is annoying because a lot of techno's roots, a lot of house music's roots are kind of rooted in DJs using the microphone to kind of, like, you know, drum up the crowd and introduce songs and stuff and just fuck around, right? I think of people like Moody Man, all these type of people that play that sort of way. But in the Berlin nightlife electronic dance music scene, they absolutely hate it when DJs get on the microphone. So the fact that Arca was able to get on the mic and request a Moscow Mule and a water, right, in between her playing the sets, and have people going absolutely crazy for it, was absolutely great. I wish I could have seen that. It continues here. Moscow Mule and Water because she's thirsty and needed it. The music plays again for 5 minutes, quite same vibe, cuts again to ask for a Moscow Mule and Water. Either way, the way she does it was so funny and authentic that I laughed my ass off quite hard during its interruptions. The music again was with Cardi B, Bodak Yellow, mixed in with some different textures and pads to make it more intense. Reggaeton, Kuduro, Dembo, Industrial Techno, Jersey Club, and obviously my personal favorite, DJ Slink, Put Your Back In It. A lot of breakbeat and experimental beats with ups and downs and BPMs. If you know anything about Berlin, you know that these guys absolutely detest breakbeats also. So I can imagine some of the purists, some of the chin strokers there were having such a fucking weird moment because they all love Arca. They love how experimental and how interesting and wide ranging of an artist Arca is. But also those genres are like Berlin kryptonite. Dembo, Kuduro, reggaeton. Like imagine Arca playing fucking Bad Bunny and shit on that dance. So people are probably thinking, oh my god, I want to leave, but it's also Arca, so I want to stay because I know it's going to get interesting. So that's all really, really funny to me in that kind of vibe. But I would have really loved to have gone, to be fair, because I think that type of music to play in that sort of space was be a little bit more interesting than the usual shit you hear there. And then there was actually this song that I want to actually get a tune ID from that I actually grabbed from Instagram stories of Arca. I don't know what this is. I'm not too sure if this is a soundtrack from an anime, if this is maybe something else, but I heard this being played at Berghain with Arca, and I wonder what this was. If anybody knows what this is, please let me know in the comments, because this sounds fucking incredible. Arca played this during the time there at Pan 15th, and it sounds absolutely phenomenal. Again, I'm not sure if it's an anime soundtrack, I'm not too sure if it's something else, but whatever it is, it sounds fucking magical.
Okay, look me like this.
Sounds so good. I don't know what it is, honestly. I think maybe because I'm in the anime mood because I was watching I was watching a lot of fucking Ghost in the Shell recently, so maybe that's why it made me kind of think of it, but I don't really know what the track is, but it's absolutely phenomenal. Arca played it during a set there at Berghain, and again, just imagine that and the Berghain sound system, just imagine that type of tempo playing there. I've heard reports of people playing, 80 BPM, 90 BPM on the main dance hall, so people were probably a little bit, didn't know what to do with their whole bodies while they're out there, but it sounded interesting, and I honestly do think this is the whole reason why Berghain still for me is one of the best clubs in the world, because of that ability to have those type of DJs, those type of artists playing that sort of space, playing those type of playing that type of music, playing those type of tempos, those type of sounds, and basically challenging the customers to be a little bit more open-minded, because I think that's one thing that's a little bit of a sad thing to see about the scene over there. As great as it is with the times and the fact that you can go to so many different places and you can basically see a whole slew of DJs, some of the best people in the world playing there, I think sometimes the sounds and the tunes played can be a little bit, samey because the punters really only want to hear one thing, unfortunately. But it sounded great, sounded amazing. I'm hopeful that I'm able to go there probably next time. And like I said before, I'll probably be there sometime at the end of November. I will be there sometime at the end of November. I cannot wait. Moving on from that one, let's get into some fashion stuff. So this is news courtesy of Rob Report regarding a Nigo auction. Nigo is auctioning off some of his rare designer clothings and jewelry and stuff on the Pharrell platform Joopiter, the same place where Pharrell shifted a lot of his jewelry that Drake eventually ended up buying and dissing Pusha T on, which is absolutely hilarious. So this is courtesy of Rob Report. It says Nigo is auctioning off a trove of rare designer pieces on Pharrell's Joopiter platform. Some of the stuff is obviously from the heady days of when Nigo and Pharrell first met and the eras where Nigo was at Bathing Ape and just fucking crushing the game and kind of killing killing it with some of his jewelry pieces and some of his purchases and stuff. So the funny thing as well is because fashion is so cyclical and trends are so cyclical that all this stuff has come back around again. So all the things that he was kind of famous for back in the days is now becoming trendy again. So all this stuff is probably going to fly off the shelves, and many people in the scene are probably going to want to get their hands on some of these iconic pieces from his treasure trove of collections as well. But it obviously is a little bit of a sad thing because it does mark an end of an era of that whole entire time. So let's read the article. It says a pair of Bapesters, a Clementine Berghain, and two Audemars Piguets in Royal Oaks. Nigo is offering up some of his true rarities in November. The legendary Japanese designer, known as the founder of Bathing Ape and creative director of Kenzo, has teamed up with longtime friend Pharrell Williams to auction off iconic designer pieces from his archive. The sale, titled "From Me to You," will be his sixth held on the Pharrell's Joopiter platform. It highlights Nigo's legacy as a trailblazer and its intrinsic need to explore new avenues of expression and creative collaboration, according to the auction house. And they've also got an official blurb here courtesy of Pharrell's platform. It says, for the last 30 years, I've been lucky enough to travel the world and meet amazing talented creatives. In 2003, during my first visit to Tokyo, I got to meet Nigo in person. I was already familiar with his myth, but it was something meeting him that changed my life forever. I was never really attached to things that I love so sharply. You can't even see it properly with this thing in a way. I never looked at it as though I was collecting anything in particular. When I got tired of pieces of jewelry or watches, I was trading in for something else. Nigo blew me away with his taste and curation. Everything he bought was an investment, something that clearly fit in a defined collection. He's like me. He likes a lot of different things, but once he picks something up, he goes all the way and collects deep. His house is like a museum filled with priceless things, but it was still very livable and comfortable. Every single thing was carefully placed so that it could be admired and enjoyed. Where else could you see a Perv, Charlotte, Pireda, whatever that name is, furniture mixed in with multicolored, gigantic metallic tool chest filled with custom winders from his Watts collection, and a vintage tube television playing early Beatles performances next to Pee Wee Herman's original suit. Nigo also fully created rooms, including one of the largest Star Wars collections in the world. Funnily enough, another room was dedicated to Louis Vuitton pieces. Seeing him collect these vintage Louis Vuitton pieces immediately sent me to the Saint-Ouen market in Paris to start my own Louis Vuitton trunk collection. Nigo also introduced me to the Brian Donnelly, aka Cause, who he has done gallery shows with in Tokyo. These stories are endless. The man is a legend, a true definition of people referred to as a GOAT. As we get older, we realize that some of these things we collected never end up seeing the light of day. That's what led me to start Joopiter. I felt like there was room to offer a new experience where these seasons and new collectors could feel welcomed. When Nigo first told me that he was going to do this original auction, I was shocked, but it eventually opened the idea for me to start thinking about certain things I felt others would enjoy more than me at this point in my life. Nigo has actually had a great, extremely successful auctions already, but now that we have access to his incredible archive at Joopiter, it's an honor to be trusted with his auction from me to you. And some of the pieces listed on here are fucking crazy. You see some of the watches, you see some of the early ice creams and Louis Vuitton shoes and shit. Like, some of the stuff is absolutely crazy, bro. You've got a Bapester here, original one, signed by Jay-Z. You've got a Nigo Birkin, right? This was back in the day when they always used to carry these massive fucking Birkin bags. Look at that, absolutely incredible. That kind of clementine orange. So fucking beautiful. So a lot of this stuff is going to go for a lot of money. People are going to be definitely on it for sure. I can't wait to see who ends up purchasing a lot of this stuff when it does eventually go up for auction, but it's going to be available very, very soon. I think sometime in November, so definitely check it out if you're that way inclined. Looking at some of the prices here, what it says here, it says the priciest lot is an Audemars Piguet Royal Oak concept turbulene dynamograph that is expected to fetch anywhere between 120,000 to 180,000. Jesus Christos, that is crazy. They got an AP in there as well. And what else they have here? The Bapester signed sneakers will estimate between 6 grand to 8 grand. The orange Birkin is going to go to 8 to 10 grand. And a Jacob and Co pendant chain is estimated to go between 20 to 30k. So yeah, if you're in the market for a bit of this stuff, check it out if you're that way inclined. Joopiter sale happening very, very soon, containing all the great things that Nigo has created and collected over the years. Cannot wait to see more of it. I cannot wait to see more of it. Okay, and then moving on to the main part of the show, we've got this. We need to feature and talk about Phoebe Philo. Phoebe Philo finally made her comeback to fashion on Monday, dropping her collection under her namesake now. No more Celine, no more designing underneath houses. All it is about Phoebe Philo herself. And I have to be honest, the collection is absolutely fire. I know she doesn't like black people. I know she doesn't care for us IC3s and Nignogs, but this woman is at the top of her game. And it was a nice reminder as to who the real mother was, who the real boss was, who the real BOSS was. Because the stuff that Phoebe Philo was presenting on Monday was absolutely exceptional. But the prices... ooh-wee! The prices were absolutely crazy. But checking some of the images and some of the stuff that was put out, it was honestly a nice, refreshing reminder of just how important Phoebe Philo's voice is in fashion and how crucial it is that she's back involved out here bringing these pieces back out in fashion again. Because I can only imagine what it must be like going forward now. Because there was one thing, having the cachet and the allure of owning, a Celine piece designed by Phoebe Philo, but now imagine owning a jacket, a t-shirt, and opening the fucking jacket and seeing the label that says Phoebe Philo, and then knowing to yourself that you've got a piece of history, right? You got one of the most important designers of her generation, right? Designing under her namesake label. That is only going to be the stepping stone for great and amazing things. And again, looking at the collection, for me, like all wins, no real misses. I thought a lot of it looked incredibly similar to some of the resort collections that she put together for Celine. A lot of really strong shapes, a lot of trousers, a lot of great tailoring, a lot of great materials, a lot of great colors from what I can see here, great textures overall. I absolutely loved every single bit of it. And I would definitely see this being flipping, taken up by a lot of women who are going to be out there into it, especially some of these. Look at these double zip pants. Look at these double zip pants, right? These pants with the 2 zips at the back here look absolutely incredible. And I think a lot of women are going to definitely be thirsting for it when this eventually does drop. And from what I can see, actually, checking back dropping wise, from what I saw in the online store, a lot of this stuff is already sold out. So all the people online that were kind of complaining and saying it was a bit underwhelming and whatnot, I guess the customers are completely on a different sort of temper, because a lot of the stuff that I saw on the online store has already been sold out. So clearly the demand for Phoebe Philo is high. But some of these jackets and coats are absolutely incredible. I swear to God, like the texture and some of this stuff, like I don't know if this is meant to be a fur, this pink, if this is some sort of repurposed stuff. I don't know how this application is done, but the shape of that jacket looks absolutely incredible. So do the pants. I love some of the imagery that's been used here. The photography is really well done. Some people are suggesting that this might be all done with an iPhone or something, photography wise, not really too sure. But the styling is always really good. The casting is always fucking amazing. Just really well done. These pants are going to be incredibly popular. You're going to see a lot of the it girls and fashionistas wearing these pants that have this sort of like furry front towards there. These look really well done, to be honest. You're going to see a lot of people probably wearing them. The pants with the zips at the back will definitely be popular with a lot of the girls that have the subtle BBLs and shit. That's definitely going to be something you're going to see a lot of people wearing. I love these heels, actually. These mesh heels look really great. Are they mesh heels? Or no, that's just not mesh heels. They're basically the model's just wearing these really amazing sheer socks with a pair of heels on them. You've also got these trousers that look like they've been absolutely sprayed up and cut everywhere. And I absolutely love everything about it. And it looks absolutely amazing to me. I cannot lie. Some of the tailoring and the pieces look really, really good. And again, another constant reminder as to why Phoebe Philo is a top girl. This chain here with the mum on it is really fun as well. Kind of reminds me a little bit of an Argos piece of jewelry, to be honest. So it's, it's fun. I get it, but it's a little bit out of place for me in terms of some of the collections that I've seen here and the stuff. The bag is really nice. The massive tote bag. You can kind of essentially live in it. I really like the look of that. But the most interesting part of it is if you close the site and you check out the online store, some of the stuff is already sold out. Like most of it is already gone. So clearly the demand for Phoebe Philo is absolutely high. But I'm curious because a lot of the people online are suggesting that this is such a big deal because she released it all online. It's not done via another retailer, direct to consumer. There's no runway show, which is a big part of Phoebe Philo, right? When she was working at Celine and obviously before that Chloe, a lot of the kind of allure of what she was doing was some of the runway shows, was the campaigns altogether. It was the kind of vibe that she created around it. So to come back into fashion and decide to do everything digitally is really different from what people do in fashion and whatnot. But I really am curious why these people seem to be so annoyed and fashion people seem to be so surprised when the brands decide to do things direct to consumer. It's such like a new novel idea. It's so kind of out there that they're still not used to it, which is odd because people are buying boats and really expensive watches on online stores. So I'm not really too sure why fashion seems to be so far-fetched as an idea to buy luxury items online. It seems like a weird thing, but as you can see here, there's shoes here that are retailing for like over like 1,000 that are already sold out. The bags, the jackets. I think that mum necklace is already gone as well. So a lot of the stuff is already kind of flying off of the shelves. Clearly has been very, very well received by the hordes of Phoebe Philo acolytes that exist out there. So clearly she knows what she's doing, and I cannot wait to see what more stuff she does going forward. But the Phoebe Philo return to fashion has been really successful. Everybody's fucking loved it. As you can see here, look, the fucking necklace is gone. So is the bracelet. Actually, what is this necklace design made out of? I'm not too sure if is it even solid gold? Let's see here. I'm gonna quickly double check to make sure this is actually gold. I'm not too sure if it is. Is it gonna load for me? Are you gonna load or not? Can I not view it? Come on, let me view it, please. Can I view it? Can I view it or not? I guess I can't view it, unfortunately. Okay, cool. I can't view it. But anyway, you got some shoes here for 1,225. Necklaces are gone as well. So many things have gone. Phoebe Philo back in fashion. Can't wait to see more from her going forward. And I think the mum chain is a bit weird. To be completely honest, if I'm not completely honest. But I'm happy to see her back. Anyways, we are going to end it there. That has been the AgostinhoZinga Show episode number, what is it? 720, I think. Thanks so much for tuning in. It's been a pleasure to have your company as per usual. If you've enjoyed the show, make sure you smash the like button down below. That'd be greatly appreciated. Smash that like button down below if you've enjoyed the show. And I will see you guys again very, very soon. There'll be a random show happening right after this, so give me a little bit, give me like 20 minutes and I'll do another random show again. We'll get through some pieces as well, so stick with me and I'll be with you again very soon. But for those of you tuning into AgostinhoZinga Show, thank you for tuning in. It's been a pleasure to have your company. Thank you for tuning in here. Make sure you smash the like button if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Take care, be safe everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Peace.